Right, get yourself together. Let's get a little hydration on. That smells good. Okay, glasses on so I can see. Hi everybody, welcome back to Laaleebee Knits. My name is Natalie. I am a knitter based in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. I am a little bit behind uploading my videos because I got kind of like a summer cold. You can kind of still hear it in my voice a little bit. I've done a lot of sleeping today, like accidentally. I just kind of passed out on the sofa and was like, oh, I need to get up. But yeah, I have just given a talk over Zoom to a university and thought, you've already got your face on, Natalie, you may as well record your podcast episode. So here I am. Do you know, incidentally, I nearly started that talk with, hi everyone, welcome to Laaleebee Knits. And then I had to be like, Natalie, these are not knitters. These are academics. Do not say welcome to Laaleebee Knits. So that nearly came out of my mouth, which would have been very awkward and not very professional. But anyway, slightly different setup for me today because I'm in work mode. But yeah, I've been a little bit unwell, but feeling okay. It's just a cold, it's just annoying. My throat's a little bit sore. But what have I been up to the last couple of weeks since I last saw you? I've had quite a few new subscribers. Hello everyone. Thanks so much for joining me. I got a shout out on a little podcast, so I'll link that down below so everyone can go and watch hers too. Thank you so much for coming along. So there's some new people. Exciting. What was I going to say? My brain is so foggy at the minute. What am I saying? Oh yeah, so I've had a few new visitors. Hello, welcome. And what else have I been up to? I went to the cottage with Neil, my best friend, and that was lovely. It was really lovely. We did nothing. I read a lot, I knit a lot, and I relaxed. And it was lovely. It was exactly what I needed. And then we came home and it was Neil's birthday the day after, so I made him a birthday cake. And oh, I knit him some socks and I don't have them with me. Where's my phone? I do have a picture on my phone. It's not a very nice picture, but I'll show you the socks anyway. I knit Neil a pair of socks with the DK yarn that I bought from Hanks. There's his socks. And they actually match a little pair that I have myself. So they're an FO that I forgot about. They didn't take very long at all because they're DK. So he got those for his birthday. Then we went out for dinner and just been back at work, working away. And then got a little bit sick this weekend, which is fine. It's nothing too bad. It's definitely not as bad as it was last time I was sick, so that's nice. But I thought I didn't have very much. Last episode was jam-packed with knitting. This one, I have a surprise cast on. I'm not wearing any knits at the minute because it's very warm, unseasonably warm in Belfast, although it's been getting warm recently, the last few years. Maybe it's not unseasonable anymore, but it's supposed to be 20 degrees Celsius here the weekend. And that might sound to many that, 20 degrees Celsius, it's not very much that way. That is too warm for me. I am very pale. I'm very, very Northern Irish. I just burn. I've spent years of my childhood burning at the seaside, and 20 degrees is hot for me. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we don't have another little heat wave like last year because I was miserable. But we'll see. Anyway, it'll be nice to get out into the garden, sort some stuff out. I started jiggling my legs. It's not good because I can see it like moving the thing. I feel a little bit erratic, like a little bit. Blah. I think it's because I've been talking for an hour on that work call that I'm just a wee bit Could be the medication I took as well, the flu meds. So let me sort myself out and go into FOs. I have 2 finished objects. Yes, I do. First finished object is these. These are Coffee Talk socks by Tracy Miller. They are they're not twins, they're sisters. I'm not an odd sock kind of girl. I don't like mix and matching, but I actually prefer this pink to this colour, and I wanted to do all of it this pink. I didn't have enough, I didn't think. So then I did that. This is the first one I did, so then I did this one, and then I thought, I don't want both of my toes to be that colour, I want to see the pink. So I mixed and matched, and actually they're quite cute, and I think those colours, those minis really work for these. Love this pattern. This, like I say, it's a Tracy Miller from the Grocery Girls pattern. I think this is the 4th pair I've knit, if not the 5th, and I love it. I know from experience knitting this that this sock is a little larger than other socks of mine, and I think it's because of this little pattern is very stretchy over the top of the foot. So what I did for this pair was I cast on 60 stitches instead of 64, and taking out those 4 stitches has really helped. I think this is the part that makes it very stretchy too. This little pearl detail stretches it more. So I removed 4 stitches and they fit very nicely, nice and snug. So, little finished object. These do not qualify for Sock Bash because I knit them over April and May. You might hear Henry in the background. You okay, Papa? He's been very clingy today. So that's my first object. Take a little breather, Natalie. You're talking too quickly. Okay. Finished object number 1. Finished object number 2. Pretty sure I hadn't finished this by the time I was talking to you last time. So if you watched the last episode, you will know that I knit this Soldotna by Caitlin Hunter. I think it was last year I knit it. And then I put it in timeout because I tried it on and it was way too short. I didn't knit it long enough. Well, I put it back on the needles last time and was ready to add some more length to it, and I did, and it's finished. I wanted to show you not only the length that I added, but the difference in blocking, because you can really see it on this. So I have a little project keeper, but you don't need to see it because you can tell the difference. So here's my Soldotna. This is knit out of John Arbon yarn. I think this one's A Life in the Long Grass actually, but the rest is John Arbon. And here's where it stopped. And it was way too cropped. So I added, I'd say it's probably about 2 inches, and then did a slightly longer rib. Look at the difference in blocking. Isn't that crazy? You can see that, right? This looks grubbier, which probably is because it hasn't been washed yet. But look how tight that is in comparison to this lovely blocked section. And my knitting has got looser as I've gone on throughout the year. Definitely noticed I've loosened up my tension. So this looks tighter than that. Like, I haven't been knitting this tighter. But you can really see the difference in blocking there. So if you're thinking, I can't be bothered blocking my sweater, it makes a big difference blocking it. If you don't know what blocking is, blocking means when you soak your sweater and in some wool wash, and then you lay it out flat to dry, and all of the knit stitches are kind of like this, and they just ease and become nice and happy. So this needs a little reblock now to sort that bit out, and then I can start wearing this. I'm really happy that I put it back on the needles. It was on timeout for a long time because I was very cross with it, but now I'm happy about it. So happy, in fact, that I cast another one on. Who am I? Cast another one on. This is my Grocery Girls and Hohi Locatelli bag. Very cute. It's one of the first bags they came out with, I think. I cast another Soldotna on and got pretty far. So I knit this while I was at the cottage. And you'll be even more proud to hear this is entirely knit out of stash. Who is she? Can you hear my clock ticking in the background? Probably. I should move that. Shush, please. Anyway, entirely out of stash. So let me show you my yarn. This is from Giddy Aunt Yarns. This is Leprechaun in DK. And I knit one of my spring sorrels out of this. The first one, I think. And I love it. And I had a full skein left over. Spring sorrel. I measured my size. I should have used 5 skeins of yarn. I only used 4. So I had a full skein left over. So that went into this. And then I had, this is pixie yarn. Now, I have 2 of these. One is paper flowers and the other is flower crown. My accent. Flower crown. They're very similar. They're kind of pinkies and kind of this beautiful, my mind is completely blank. What's that colour? It's not beige. It's like an ochre. Is it ochre? I don't know. It's beautiful. That's my main colour. I had 2 skeins of that. I had like a half a skein. What's this happening? This is a full skein of 2 full skeins of that, but they're slightly different colourways, I think, so I've been feeding them in. And then I had a pink that I've all used up, and this, which is a leftover. No, it's not a leftover. This is 2 mini skeins from an advent calendar that I had from Giddy Aunt Yarns years ago that I didn't know what to do with because it was a DK advent calendar. This went into that. And then I did have a pink one that's similar to that. 2 mini skeins, again 40 grams, but I ran out. So this is very similar. It's a finger weight yarn and I held it double and you can't tell the difference. And now for the big reveal. I should have put it on bigger needles so you can actually see. Are you ready for this? This is my newest Soldotna. So, wonder if you can see. This is my main colour. This is that brown that I was showing you. Here's my leprechaun. And then that pink. So, I managed to use that pink, which was 40 grams, right down to... Can you even tell where I start doubling up? Here. That's where I started doubling up with a different colour. But you can't tell at all, I don't think. All out of stash yarn. Now, the pattern calls for, you might notice, this to be, well, first of all, I'm not doing my little speckle pattern here. I'm just doing, because the yarn's speckled anyway, I'm just doing this yarn. And then at the bottom of this is supposed to be this green colour, and I don't have enough. I definitely don't have enough for it. So, everything in this has been made out of stash yarn. And my question is, do I want to keep it as stash yarn and just do my ribbing in this and have no distinction between the bottom, the main body and the ribbing, which is an option? Or do I buy a little skein of leprechaun? I haven't decided yet. I would love to hear your thoughts on what you think about that, because it's just blowing my mind that this is entirely made of stash. And it looks, well, personally I think it looks like I put it together deliberately. Entirely out of stash. So I am delighted about that. I think what I might do is, I have enough, I think, to do my sleeves in the green. Pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm looking at the other one and see how much there is. I should have enough to do my sleeves in the green. I think what I'll do is I'll knit the body and start the ribbon and do the ribbon in this. just to, because I want to use my stash, I want to use it up. I don't want to buy another skein really. And then if it doesn't look right and it takes away from the jumper, then I'll rip it out and put the green in. How does that sound? I think that sounds like a good compromise. But I can't, I knit this colour work while I was at the cottage. It was an evening and a bit, 2 evenings to finish that colour work. And I love re-knitting patterns. I think, number one, patterns, all things considered with the amount of work that goes in them, patterns are not expensive. I think it's what, £6, maybe £8 for this pattern. But being able to knit it twice makes you feel like you've got your money's worth, doesn't it? So it looks completely different. Let me hold up this one and my other one, just so we can see. Fold you in half. Looks like, oh yeah, hang on. One moment please. I'll get myself together. Looks completely different. Well, it is completely different because I'm not even lining them up. I think one of the main things that makes it look different as well is that it's speckled. I'm using speckles. But love. Look at the difference in my depth. That must be from blocking. The depth of my yoke. So yeah, now I know the proper length to knit it for myself. I won't skimp out on that, so I'll not have to pull it back too much. Which is good. It's just round and round knitting for now. And I like how this is working out. This is Pixie Yarn. She does colours that are just, I go into heart eyes every time I see them. They're just me in a skein. So the other option I had was, I have a dark green skein of fingering weight yarn, but it's not the same as Leprechaun. It doesn't have the tonality in it, and it won't look as nice, so I'm not going to do that. I do have that, but I'm not going to. It will really look patchworky then, I think, if I use that one. So anyway, that's my only sweater on the needles. That's a slight lie, because I do still have my, if you cast your mind back, my Brooklyn Tweed raglan. It's still on the needles, but it's in time out. It's probably going to come off the needles. So this is the only big project I have on the needles. Who is she? So yes, I have 2 more projects to share with you. And no yarn has been purchased since we last spoke. Who is she? Am I waiting yarn from Beehive Yarns for my monthly subscription? Yes, I am. But we all know that's just a little monthly treat that comes in. So my next project is, I showed the yarn last time for it. Oh, I meant to block this. Is the little cushion that I'm knitting my friend Joanna. And here's my, I swatched. Right, here's the story of this project. I promised my friend I would knit a cushion. She has a reference photo. It's intarsia knitting. I've never done intarsia, but I can figure it out. I'm a Virgo. I can figure it out. So I've also never knit a cushion. And I'm making it up as I go along. Now, am I a person who likes to have instructions? Yes, I am. Do I have instructions? No. So it's been on a little bit of a halt, especially while I've been sick. My brain hasn't been in the frame of mind to figure it out. But I did some little oh, I think I have them here actually. I did some little concept sketches in my bullet journal. Let me find them. Ignore this. This is books. Did some little concept sketches for how it's going to look. Tried to figure out how I'm going to do the join. I think I'm going to do some little buttons. But I don't want the buttons to be like stretched so that you see the white of the cushion. So then I'm thinking I need to design like a little flap that tucks in, buttons. There's thoughts going on. And then I'm thinking, how do I do this colour work? Because it's only on one side, it's not going to be on the back panel. Yes, it would be easier if I did it on both sides. But I don't know if I have enough yarn for that, so haven't quite figured that out yet. But the first step was knitting a swatch to see what my stitch count is across 4 inches. So here's my swatch. Now this is the second swatch I knit. I knit the other swatch on the, so jumping ahead of myself. This is the yarn I'm using. It's called Alpaca Supreme from John Arbon. It is 40% superfine alpaca, 40% organically farmed Falklands merino, and 20% A1 mulberry silk. It's a sport weight yarn, and it is gorgeous. It is gorgeous. It should really be a sweater. She wants a pillow. Look at the shine on that. I'm a big fan of silk, and this is beautiful. So I have 3 skeins of this dark colour, 1 skein of a colour that's called pearl. This colour is called anthracite. And the recommended needle for this is 4.5mm for a gauge of 22 to 28 stitches across 4 inches. Well, I knew that I was not going to get that because my knitting is loose. So I went down to a 4mm needle, and the gauge I got on that swatch was 22 stitches, which was fine, but holy. What do I mean by holy? So you can definitely see through this one. The other one was worse. So I tore that out. It was not fun to tear out, or frog, because the alpaca got tangled. And I knit this on a needle down a 3.75, and it's still a little bit see-through for my liking, but I figure like you can't actually see my hair through it. It's just when I hold it up to the light. So yeah, that look. Do you ever just catch yourself on what you're doing? Can you see my face through this? Right, that way, get a grip. Anyway, I'm going with this 3.75 needle, and now all I have to do is block this, see how many stitches are in my 4 inches, and then map out my graph for the little colourwork bit. I think what I'm going to do is cast on a provisional cast on, knit the colourwork bit, and then pick up stitches and knit the rest. Because the colourwork bit's the most important bit. Once it's just plain knitting, it's fine. I can kind of gauge it in terms of how long it's going to be. So that's my project. But it requires thinking, and I haven't yet to have the brain power to do that thinking. I am on a little bit of a time crunch with this now because I need to organise an archive trip for work over in Edinburgh. My friend lives in Glasgow, and I'm going to hand deliver this. So it needs to be done by then, which is probably going to be around the end of June. So I've got what, 5 weeks maybe? That's plenty of time. I think I'll set some time aside this weekend to do the hard bit. Once I do the hard bit, which is the intarsia, I've watched a video on it. It should be fine. I'm not looking forward to backwards knitting because I can't purl continental style yet. But I suppose by the end of this project I will be able to purl continental style. It just takes a wee bit of brain power. So that project is it's not really on the back burner, it's there, it's kind of hanging over me. I need to start it. Once I start it, I'll be fine. So I have one more project to share. I do have plain socks that I've just been doing a little tiny bit here and there, but nothing substantial. And I finished my colour work on my Soldotna, and I thought to myself, Natalie, I just really want to do some more colour work. So I picked up this book again, The Charming Colourwork Socks by Charlotte Stone, and I picked a little pair of socks that I wanted to knit, and these are the Summer Meadow socks. Very cute. I like how her flowers in the picture match the socks. And I cast them on. Now, I've only ever knit one other all over pair of all over colourwork socks. You remember the rhubarb and custard socks that I did in February? They are too big. which I knew they would be because I erred on the side of caution. I went up a needle size and I knit the largest size. So I knew they would be big. I was afraid of my colourwork being too tight. I have knit colourwork socks before where I couldn't get them over my foot because my floats weren't long enough. So I erred on the side of caution and went too far, and they are like bed socks now, really, especially after blocking. They've just relaxed into socks that are too big. I did that thinking in my brain after I cast these on, so I've made the same mistakes with these. Now, in that, I've cast these on a 2.5 millimeter needle, and I've cast the biggest size on, bigger than I would usually knit. But aren't they cute? So this is Stash yarn again. This is, I believe, a Coop Knits yarn. Don't ask me the colour. It's their bright blue one. And this is, I believe, a Cascade. Are you? Yeah, you're a Cascade. I can tell because the Coop Knits are kind of tonal. This one is not tonal. It's just a nice plain green. It's a little leftover from a pair of socks that I knit a couple of years ago. Both are about 50 grams, these skeins, so that should be plenty. And I was looking through my scraps. I knew I wanted to use up some kind of stash in these colourwork socks, and I had my usual pinks and purples sitting, and I just couldn't get away from this colour. I don't know what it is about it, but I just think the blue really pops with it. I just really like it. So I did, this isn't even a full repeat. I did a full flower. These are going to be they're kind of shorties, but kind of not, because I like a little bit of length in my ankle. Plus, I am a chubby girl, and that means that my ankles are chubby, which means that typical socks are tight on my ankles. So I knew I needed that extra width here for my ankles in order for them to fit comfortably. So I've done the biggest size, 2.5 millimeter needle. And then what I did was, the pattern gives you a specific kind of heel. I think it's a short row heel. I instead put a little, you can see here where I've cut off the colourwork here. I just knit with my main colour for one round and knit purled back. Didn't knit the full round. Let me start again. Let me start again to explain this. I knit over half the stitches, 36 stitches, in the main colour when I wanted to place my heel. Knit in the main colour, purled back, so that I have 2 rows where I can see exactly where I want to put my heel in. Should have used waste yarn, but realistically I wanted to be able to pick up stitches that didn't have colourwork details going on, so that it would be easier for me. So that's what I did, and the heel is going to be in the main colour anyway, so it'll not look weird once the sock's finished. But that was just so that I could have the little heel marker. You can see the break in colourwork there compared to the other side that continues. So I've placed my little heel. I think what I'm going to do now is go down a needle size, because I'm still knitting the biggest size, but they'll probably be too big again. So that's the plan for those. More thinking than I wanted. My wee brain was capable of. So they're on a little hiatus too. And that's everything that I've been currently knitting on. Yes, it is. So I've done no shopping. What I did do a little while ago was I took stock of where my stash is at. I feel like I'm going to sneeze, so if I suddenly disappear, I'm sneezing. But yeah, I have a bullet journal, and I took stock of my stash because my stash is unruly, and I'm also coming towards the end of my contract with work, so I'm in saving mode at the minute, so I don't have as much disposable income that I'm putting into my stash, and I have so much of it that I really want to use it. Which is why I'm delighted that my soldotna is being knit with stash. But anyway, I counted up my stash to give myself a little recap. And I thought maybe people might be interested in this, maybe not. But essentially, my stash is made up of full skeins, leftover skeins like the ones in this sock project, which are, I counted them as half skeins, and then minis. And the way I judged it, because I've so many leftovers, I basically judged it as, I counted a full skein as anything from 70 grams upwards, because realistically I can make a full pair of socks with 70 grams of yarn. So a full skein's counted as anything that was 70 grams plus. A half skein was counted from over 40, under 70. That was my little bracket for a half skein. And then I had minis, which were anything under, what did I say, 40? I think my half skein was down to 30. My minis were 30 to over 10. Anything under 10 is being thrown in my crochet blanket. So I have this little way of figuring out my scraps. And counted everything up. Counted up how much I have in my projects. Do you want to hear my stats? This is not, disclaimer, I'm not trying to show off. What this is I think maybe 7 years now, 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 6 years of knitting and purchasing yarn and creating a stash. And now I'm in a phase where I'm consciously trying to use what I've purchased over that time. And I did fall down that rabbit hole of buying beautiful one skein items and then not using them. They just sit in there, and sock sets and all the rest of it. So anyway, counted it all up, and I have 173 and a half skeins of yarn and 99 minis, which is insane for one person, but very good for a person who is in between jobs at the end of this year because I have a stash and I'll still be able to knit. So I am really delighted that I have a stash and that I have been in a position to have a stash and create one for myself. The thing about this period of my life that I'm moving into is that it's going to be very unstable. I'm not going to know what job I'm in. I don't really know what's next for me career-wise, and that freaks me out because I like knowing what's happening. I like to be organised and I like to have a job to step into. There's only one time in my life that I haven't had a job to step into, when I was made redundant when I was young, like 21. I've always worked and I've always had a job to step into, and it is scary that there's a bit of a crossroads happening in my career. But the one constant that I have, apart from Neil, of course, and my family, the one constant that I have is my hobby and knitting. And I know that regardless of what happens, I have yarn that I can knit and make lovely projects and things to make me happy and gifts for my friends and for my family, and that brings comfort. It's one constant that will continue and like kind of bring me through that transitional period. So all that to say, I'm glad that I have a stash. I'm not proud of the fact that it's so big, because that's a lot of yarn. 99 minis. To be fair, there are 2 advent calendars in there that I'm only just really starting to use, and I did go through a little period of buying all the mini skein sets because they're adorable and I love them. So I think I've made one of the goals that I had for myself. Once I counted up all of my stash, goal I had for myself was to use the stash. So I'm keeping track which projects are using up which yarn. and I'll have a new total for you in June, which is just around the corner. Where is this year going? And that's all my yarny stuff. I joined the library. It's news in my life. I joined the library, which is a weird thing to say because I've been linked to an academic library since I was 18. Like, I've been in the library since I was 18, but I joined the public library and took myself off to get some coffee and get some library books, and I picked up, shall I share what I got? Yeah, well, give me 2 seconds. So I don't have one with me. One is The Butcher and the Wren by Elena Urquhart, who is a host of the true crime podcast Morbid. Love my true crime podcasts. Oh, sorry for shaking the camera. Love my true crime podcasts. Love Morbid. Not loving the book. Not loving the book. It's just, I'm reluctant to share my book, my thoughts on reading and books on YouTube. One, because that's not what this podcast is about, but two, I'm an academic in an English department. Am I a bit snobbish? Yes, a little bit. And is that a nice trait to have? No. And I don't like reading books that are just, they're all right. Their writing's okay. I like reading beautiful writing. And on that note, I read, I listened to on Audible a book called Still Life by, let me find their name, library. I read Still Life by Sarah Winman and loved it. It is exactly the kind of book I love. It was really rich in terms of the characters. It was about, I kind of don't want to tell you what it's about to give it away because I just love the reveal of everything, but it's about a kind of found family of different characters that have really rich backstories, and I just loved it. I loved it. I loved the writing. It wasn't overcomplicated. It wasn't grandiose. Some of the phrases and sentences were short, but they just packed a punch. I just loved it. And that's the kind of writing I like. I love writing that is thoughtful and thought-provoking and unpretentious. And I don't know why I was expecting a thriller novel to have those traits, because it's a very typical thriller novel. It's a serial killer and she's a host of a true crime podcast, so then there are little paragraphs about serial killers, and I'm very interested in it, but it's not written very well. It's written like a Wikipedia page. So anyway, I'm rating that just to have read it. It's going to be very quick. I think it'll be a 2 or 3 stars on Goodreads for me. I got another couple of books. One is a collection of new Irish short stories called Being Various, edited by Lucy Caldwell. There's lots of different writers in the back there. I wonder if you can see. It's very interesting. Her introduction, she asks what it means to being Irish is a very fraught term, a fraught concept, especially in Northern Ireland. There's so much to consider, and having grown up in a Northern Irish community, in a Protestant community that very much did not think of itself as Irish, it's very interesting to start to unpack some of those thoughts and grapple with it. So I'm enjoying that. I love a short story. I've read 2 of them, so I'm enjoying this. Very thought-provoking. And then the last one I got, because I limited myself to 3 because I didn't want to go overboard. The last one I got is Louis de Bernier's The Autumn of the East. This is the 3rd in a trilogy, that follows, what's this guy called? I finished it while I was at the cottage, Daniel Pitt, and I loved it. I loved it. It is about a family as they kind of work through the First World War and the Second World War, and it traces the life of an RAF fighter pilot. It's based loosely on his grandfather's life, and it's very, the writing is funny. It's kind of very P.G. Wodehouse in places. You can tell that he's taken inspiration from that in the dialogue. They're quick and easy to read. Their stories are rich, and I really am enjoying the trilogy. So I'm excited to finish it, and I'm glad that the library had it instead of me having to purchase the book. I finished another book called The Conjure Women by Afia something. Oh, I pulled off the paper cover. Conjure Women by Afia Adakora. Beautiful cover. This has been on my bookshelf for a long time. This was heartbreaking and so well written, and I loved it. It follows a woman who is a healer in a community of slaves that are set free, and what freedom means for former slaves in the South. It's great, and it asks questions about faith and about race, obviously, and it doesn't ask questions about faith. It confronts the white reader with, here is what happened, don't shy away from it. And it is brutal in places, but I loved it. I love reading fiction that brings questions of faith to the fore, because that's what my research was on how people believe and how faith is understood. I love seeing that worked into novels in a really interesting way. Yeah, I think this is her first novel as well, so really recommend that. Tough in places, but beautiful novel. Beautiful. So that's all my reading. No, it's not. I read an Agatha Christie as well, but I think it was the first Miss Marple book. But yeah, I went on a little reading kick, and then I got sick, and I haven't read a word since. Been reading a little bit of Seamus Heaney at night time just to try and go to sleep, but and also because I was trying to read the true crime book and I ripped a fingernail off, and I was like, no, Natalie, that's not for nighttime reading. So I think I've rambled on long enough. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you joining, and I really appreciate your support. Hello to all my new subscribers. Hi. Ooh. Yeah, I hope you have a good few weeks. Look after yourself, and I'll see you next time. Bye. I've just finished recording that video and noticed that there's stuff on my glasses the whole way through. I'm not re-recording it, so I apologize. I will make sure I have clean glasses next time.